So let's come to the second gallantry award. After mentioning dispatches, I think you were awarded NM gallantry during your first command. Can you please narrate the incident?
What had happened was, I was commanding, I had just commissioned INS Nishank in Black Sea Poti. So we were to do one or two sorties before we were to set on the maiden passage back home. During the acceptance trials, there were certain difficulties which we highlighted. So it was the very first sortie, very first command of mine. We went out to sea in Black Sea. What had happened was, we were doing, I think, about 29, 30 knots. So there was a huge explosion in the aft portion of the ship. So immediately I gave the order to crash stop all engines. Actually, what had happened was, from the gas turbine, which was doing about 30 knots, there, where the exhaust comes out, there was a compensator that parted. So that 500, 600 degrees temperature, which was running at 30 knots, that came into the engine room. So as a consequence of this, all the wiring in the after engine room got burnt. All the aluminum fittings which were there, they all melted. So when we crash stopped, then I went down. I couldn't. Smoke was bellowing from all sides. I went to the quarterdeck. So quarterdeck, you couldn't stand. It was so hot. So, and temperature was maybe 20, 18, 19, 20. I don't know. We were in winter uniforms. So, and the Russian crew was also there. The Russian crew which had handed over to us, they were also there. So they recommended that we abandon ship. And even one of our boys, because life rafts were in the aft, that's all, they were there. Because right on top of the engine room, since we were supposed to sail for the maiden passage, were about maybe 5,000-6,000 rounds of AK-230, 630 ammunition, live, which we were to bring from there. And behind that is a huge tank for fuel. So they knew the ship better than us. So they were saying that it can lead to this thing. So one of the boys tried to pull the laugh raft. So I gave it to him in my own language, vernacular, what I could. And I said, we are not abandoning. If you want to abandon, you can abandon. So finally, we saved the ship. We came back. There was a huge loss. Virtually the whole aft engine room had to be done, including the wiring, because everything had melted. Everything had melted. So there was a huge board of inquiry. Initially, I came under, young lieutenant commander, came under a lot of flack for not being able to, do things. One took it in the stride, but, that time one starts thinking, yes, that's the end of the career, so be it. So, but we fought the board of inquiry. It lasted several weeks. In the end, we convinced the Russians that it was not the Indian crew mistake, it was their mistake. And then the Russian admiral admitted that. He wrote a letter to our CNS. And in fact, they modified the design, because this oil used to come into that place because of the reduction gear fuel. So they changed the design. And apparently they had one or two fires before also, which were minor. So in the end, we made, it was accepted by the Russians that it was their design fault, it was their mistake, and they paid for it. The ship could have, if we wouldn't have crash stopped, things would have been different. If we would have let the GT run for even 2 minutes more, that would have been disastrous. Because it is right underneath. I don't know whether you served on
I served on
So this is right underneath.
Yes.
Right underneath. So, and that we were doing 30 knots. 29, 30 knots we were doing. So, high level of this thing. So, ultimately, they paid. Then we went to Kerch in Ukraine, where the present war is going on. We spent about 3 months, 3-4 months, maybe 4.5 months to repair the ship. So, this was all happening in where the present war is going on.